everyone, and welcome to episode 92 of my Guild Wars 2 Let's Play series. Today we are going to continue our explorations of Chapter 8 of the Guild Wars 2 personal story, as we are in the third and final act of the personal story, and we are quickly approaching the end of the vanilla game, where we are going to do like 3 story missions today, and then maybe a tiny bit of map completion towards the end. And we have Through the Looking Glass that we can go ahead and do right over here, but we need to get over there, so let's go ahead and waypoint to the rally waypoint. And it seems like there might be some events going on over there that we can look at as well. There's actually a lot of stuff going on in the map right now, and maybe we'll just focus on the story. But we got a commander leading a group to take the Temple of Balthazar right over there, and then there is an Eye of Zaitan that people can fight over in this direction, and we are of course hunting down an Eye of Zaitan ourselves right now, and we can enter a brand new area that we haven't really been in yet. One waypoint right here for us to grab, and we can take a look at what we have uncovered on our map, where there's a point of interest over here, and then like 1 or 2 more little areas over here that we haven't explored yet. And I think let's sneak around this way into this little area, and then I could maybe loop north a little bit. Let's try to grab this waypoint. I see 2 points of interest up this way. We gotta keep looping around to get to this waypoint. Or maybe we can't even get up there. Let's try our best here. No, maybe I'll just do the raptor thing. I don't typically enjoy doing that too much, but let's go ahead. Take a look at this area. Very, very, like, kind of spooky in many ways, and just ridden with death. I'm actually not sure how to get to that waypoint. Let's continue this way for a second. We have this, like, marshy area where we have our story instance here. And this is a really cool looking marsh. But if you look, we got to this gate over here that we can go ahead and grab this point of interest at. We are now more in the like city-based area of Ore. And here's this gate that you can actually open sometimes. And then I think this is like a full-on like town, and I think up here is kind of like a town center, if I recall correctly. The conservatory with some statues. And then if we loop back around this way, try not to die in the process. Just a very, very cool and unique type of area. We do have this waypoint. Let's try to figure out how to get up to this waypoint. So we have like right here that we can get to. And then we have like right here. Okay, we can just jump up right there. I think we were supposed to come in through like the northwestern area there. We were supposed to come up the ramp there, but we can come in through the mountain right here. Let's go ahead and loop back around this way, because if you look at everything right here, I believe that is everything. So let's go ahead, enter our story instance. I was just running into a tree there, and we can go ahead and lure in and kill the Eye of Zaitan. Very, very cool concept art there. And this is a very fun mission because we have Tegwin and Karis here, who are 2 very, very important characters who we actually met on this character in like chapter 2 of the personal story. And it looks like we have the mirror here with Traherne as well.
Welcome, Commander. You remember Valiant's Tegwin and Karis? They'll be assisting us with our mission.
I remember them well. Does this mean we're using the Orient Mirror to lure out the Eyes of Zaitan?
Precisely. The mirror is powerful enough to warrant Zaitan's attention, and that means the eyes will be drawn to it.
Then we strike. We'll shut Zaitan's eye for good.
It's a solid plan, but still, I'm worried. The artifact is linked to Ore, and our prey is in Ore. What if the Eye knows more about the mirror than we do?
We'll have to take that risk. Stand ready, everyone. I feel Zaitan's influence closing on us. Whatever draws near is deadly.
cannot hide. You cannot surprise me. I see all. Zaitan's gaze cannot be avoided. Your mirror belongs to the dragon. Soon, all will belong to the dragon.
The mirror's responding to his commands. He's activating a portal.
Attack! Stop him, or we'll have an entire risen army out here.
Time to stop him, so let's confront the Eye of Zaitan. And we, of course, have our great sword now, so wow, we were dealing so much damage to him. I should have waited like 5%.
No good. It's drawing power from the mirror.
Let's kill these undead.
Together you may be strong, but I will weaken you. Come, Zaitan's army awaits to absorb.
It's pulling us in. The mirror is blocking my magic. I can't stop him. I can blunt the effect, but...
So we just got pulled into the mirror. And we are over in this area now. Let's regroup with our allies. Got a risen pirate right here. I somehow missed that. We just deal so much damage. It feels so good.
That skinny Salvari needs help. Don't be ashamed.
Shashu is here. Shashu is so cute. Charge! Let's go ahead and deal with these undead. And this is like a massive reunion.
Cool. Quaggan is pleased to see you. Quaggans are still not used to fighting, but want to help anyway. What brings you here?
Do you know these people, Commander? I didn't know Quaggans could fight, or even join the pact.
The commander saved Quaggan's people, and showed the Quaggans must fight against dragons. Quaggans want to help.
Thank you, Shashu. We're glad to have you. There's an Eye of Zaitan hunting us, and we'll need your support.
Foo on Big Eye. Boo on Big Eye. You show Quaggans where to go and who to fight. Quaggans will do it.
So let's continue. Looks like we want to go this way, where we can find Traherne and Karis. Massive group of Risen here. Let's try to maybe group them up a little bit, which is very nice to do. And honestly, we can kind of just spam random keys, and ultimately we're probably just going to obliterate the Risen. There are a couple over here that we can fight. This is something I've talked a little bit throughout our personal story adventures, but largely the personal story is an incredibly easy piece of content to complete, all the different personal story steps. And largely in Guild Wars 2 the story is pretty easy to complete, but it does get harder as we progress through the game to a certain point, especially once we reach the first expansion. There are a ton of Risen here, where their numbers could definitely overwhelm us potentially. And I do enjoy that vibe of the Risen, just a massive undead horde. And they just keep coming around this way. Traherne is holding his ground over there. I do like this ability, the Death Spiral.
I'm fine. I don't know where Karis is, but I hope we find her before the Eye does.
So let's go find Karis. She's probably over here. I see her in the shield, and the Eye is there with her. So if you look at our ability here, the number of targets is 5, so we can basically kill 5 people at the same exact time. And if you're ever fighting a group that has more than 5 people, it is going to be a little bit tougher to deal with them because our abilities aren't going to be able to hit everybody.
You don't scam me, please. I've already seen the horrors of war firsthand.
But it would be best to try to isolate enemies into groups of 5 at a time to deal with them. But ultimately we could probably deal with a ton of enemies at the same exact time, just because I do feel genuinely pretty powerful right now. And now the Eye of Zaitan once again. We'll see if he goes off somewhere else. Trying to deal so much damage. Wow, so much damage. And it looks like we defeated it.
Ouch. Looks like you saved me this time, Tegwin. I'm done with that mirror, by the way. forever.
That makes 2 of us. If we hadn't run into the commander's friends, we would have been in trouble.
This effort was difficult, but it proved fruitful. Thanks to you, my friends, we now have an eye to study.
Is that wise? The eye may still be connected to Zaitan. Even dead, it could still be dangerous.
This encounter proved that we don't know enough about our enemies. Studying this eye will address that.
My point exactly. I'm going to hand this monster over to my best researchers. Meet me at Fort Trinity and we'll get started.
So we can meet Traherne at Fort Trinity. Let's go ahead. I don't really want any of that. Which pretty much any item we get from like the personal story as far as like armor and weapons go, I don't really care too much about. But we will get some skins, which is nice. And I do see this mentor is doing an event over here. So really quickly before we begin our next story step, let's just run this direction. See if we can maybe like tag the end of this event. And then we can also just explore this area as a whole. Can come down here. Very cool little area. I love the architecture of Ore a lot. And there's supposed to be a cave entrance if I recall correctly. Maybe it's further this way. And this looks like a cave right here. Or potentially more of a crypt, I suppose. Or catacombs even. So the mentor tag is in here. It looks like there's nobody really here with him. But let's just continue running through for a second. Here's a group of people. And I feel like...
This has been fruitless.
I guess the event might still be going on actually. Where here is an Eye of Zaitan for us to fight.
Disturb my resting place. Face the wrath of Zaitan. This doesn't look good. Destroy that thing. At last, a good fight.
For the Pact! For the Pact!
For the Pact. So a very similar type of enemy that we just fought in the story, but of course a different Eye of Zaitan in a slightly different area and serves a slightly different purpose for like the narrative of the game, where we fought one throughout the story and now we are fighting one at the end of a pretty big event chain of specifically like 3 events I think. But this eye actually drops an item that is important for a collection, where you can sell that item for a lot of gold if you happen to get it. But it's very, very rare. Let's go ahead and loot this glorious chest. And we did not even get the lesser version of that item. And I believe the catacombs are about to start collapsing, so let's get out of here. And I do think there's like a hero challenge right over here that we can get. And in fact, this door is closed. But if you go this way, there's nowhere to go really. But maybe if we come this way, or I could just waypoint, I suppose. And maybe we'll come explore this area later, which let's come back to Fort Trinity, where we do have the next story step for us to do. But I think I'm going to go ahead and swap to my Guardian, and we can do the other option for the story that we just did. We have closed the eye where we can defeat the Eye of Zaitan, and we need to meet Traherne north of a blighted battleground right over here, which is slightly north of where we were in the last story mission. And this option is basically attacking the eye more directly instead of like luring the eye in. And ultimately they are like pretty similar story missions, where we have the entrance right here. I thought I had to go further into Ore, but it was right there, which is nice. Decently cool loading screen art, which we see in different places, and we can see we have some Skrit friends with us, with Fatokchuk, whom we met earlier.
We're ready to begin, Commander. Our scouts put the Eye of Zaitan just past this courtyard. I've arranged for some operatives to join the effort. Old friends of yours, I believe.
Hi! Hi! You saved us and showed us we had to join the fight against the dragons. Now we help you. Yes, 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 we'll help. You lead. Together we'll shut the big eye. Yes, then leave this stinky place fast, fast.
We need to spread out and move quickly, but keep each other in sight. I don't want... Hang on. What is that Sylvari doing here?
You think you're ready to face the Eye? You have no idea, none! We're all doomed, all of us! No more, please. I've told you all I know. Now leave me alone.
So let's find the Sylvari that is running off in that direction. And we have a great sword on this character, just like our Necromancer. But my gear on this character is not mostly ascended, so we are a tad bit weaker, but still decently powerful. I haven't really looked at my build too much. I think we have like a lot of like options for things we can put in. We can finish Signet training, I suppose. And then Spirit weapon training. We have so many different options here that we can look at. We can max out honor, and we can max out virtues, and that leaves us with 44 hero points left over because I have not done too much map completion on this character, and we'll look at more Dragon Hunter stuff in the future. So here's the mad prisoner over here. Something apparently really bad has happened. Let's try to chat with her.
The Eye, it sees me. It sees into my mind, into my dream. There's no escape.
Be calm. We're here to help. We won't let the Eye anywhere near you.
But the Eye is everywhere. It goes where it will, when it will. It looks, Zaitan sees.
We can still save her. We can take her back to Fort Trinity as soon as our mission is complete. Hurry! Our allies are waiting.
So now...
You think you're ready to face the Eye? You have no idea, none! We're all doomed, all of us!
Let's face the Eye. We should have the map marker right up this way, and we have this gate here. A ton of enemies all around here. A risen chicken, which is very sad. The risen chickens were always like a standout model for me, I feel like, with the risen. Traherne's with us. I think everyone in that cave came out. I did just abandon them a little slightly. Spin in here. Just stab that risen chicken once. Deal with the risen arm. And then we have this villager over here, and I think we need to get Traherne over towards this door. We have our script friends running off this direction too. Just stun the farmer, which is always fun to do. And let's try to bring Traherne right over here.
Lock tight. We'll need a key. The risen seneschal of this town would have it. You have to retrieve the key before we can proceed.
So let's go retrieve the key. We have to run off in this direction. And this is the area that we just explored on our Necromancer before we did the last mission as we came through here. So we can come back up towards the conservatory where we have the Seneschal here. Elam, who knows? Let's go ahead and try to group them up, throw down some AoEs, buff ourselves up. And we did like a third of his health there, which is decent, I suppose. But we can go ahead and just continue auto attacking here. It seems like our auto attack is doing like a ton of damage and our other abilities aren't against him. But here's the key staff. We can also just resurrect the Script Forager with us. Not sure where Fatokchak went, but we have some of his friends here. And it's really nice to see some of our allies that we made in Chapter 5 of the personal story helping us out now that they have basically joined the Pact. We have a few special abilities here. Gravedigger, kind of like our Reaper ability. But let's give this to Traherne.
Of course, the gate is also sealed magically. This will take time. Protect me while I work. Watch those tentacles up on the ridge. They're gonna slam us hard.
So we needed to be careful of the tentacles up there. And we just need to deal with a ton of risen that are just going to be spawning over and over here as we can just defend the gate. And this is kind of just a classic experience where we have to sit here for a little bit and we have an invisible timer and we can go ahead and just fight many risen. And I should try to go deal with these bone tendrils Let's give ourselves some swiftness. Maybe I should have cleared out this area a little bit. I like the Risen Farmer with just like a shovel. It's fun. But here's one tendril, and I just launched myself off of the cliff. Let's get back up here. I don't think there's really any like points of failure in this mission. Like, I don't think anything's gonna get reset if like Traherne dies. So I don't think we have to be too careful, and we could potentially just AFK and the tendrils still take fire damage, so that was kind of a waste there. Let's deal with these two really quickly. And then get back down here. We have a group of 4 attacking. And a Whisper's Agent and a Vigil Crusader who are down. Another villager coming in. That one villager is just slowly wandering in. We can clear the group, and this gives us an opportunity to try to resurrect these two. The tendrils being dead is very, very nice because we're just not getting constantly bombarded, which gives us an opportunity to relax a little bit and also to help our allies recover here. This is kind of a cool animation. Somebody risen for us to fight.
We're in. Now to face the eye.
I will not lose.
So now we have the Eye of Zhaitan. Technically the same eye that we just killed on our Savari, but we're going through this in a little bit of a different method. Stab him, and let's start dealing with the Eye and all of his little allies here. We're gonna have to try to heal up a tiny bit. And I don't think we really buff up our allies. They're getting some might, but that might be for themselves. We can very easily just deal with the Eye of Zhaitan once again.
Well done, Commander. Now we have something for the researchers back at Fort Trinity to study. This Eye's corpse should tell us more about Zhaitan's servants and how he communicates with them.
Then the risk was worth the reward. If we learn how Zhaitan controls his minions, we can disrupt that control to our advantage.
Let's take it back to Fort Trinity. And that poor woman, too. She needs all the help we can provide.
So mission complete. Get our simple reward here, which again, I don't think I really care about anything. And let's go ahead and waypoint straight to Fort Trinity instead of leaving the instance and then waypointing. And of course, we are now back at the same story mission that we had on our Necromancer. So let's go ahead and swap back to that character. We can go ahead and head towards the airship dock and get a nice view of the airship that we can go ahead and board here. And of course, this one is docked, and we can see many up in the skies all around Ore. But we can go ahead and use this as a little bit of a safe spot in Fort Trinity to interact with the dead eye. What the eye beholds, and that is so cool. Is that like a crate? That was like some sort of like Leviathan there. That's so interesting, actually.
I'd like to speak with you.
Let's go ahead and speak with Traherne, where he says, a magnificent view and a reminder of what the Pact is fighting for. I believe our experiment is about ready. We should get back inside. Lead the way, Marshal.
These airships are the Pact's crowning achievement. A combination of Asura, Char, and human technology. The Pact developed these airships so that we might fight Zhaitan from every possible angle. Land, sea, and now air.
Very, very, very cool vessels. And I like how we sailed out into the ocean a little bit. But here's the Eye of Zhaitan and Professor Gore, who we might remember from the Asuran personal story.
Commander, may I present Professor Gore, who pioneered the theory of elder dragons consuming magic, and Scholar Vivian, a top expert on the Risen. We're going to send a small etheric charge through the Eye of Zhaitan's corpse to try and project what it's seen. The goal is to witness what it saw right before we killed it. And since Orion magic is so unpredictable, you're here to keep things under control.
Ah, but unpredictability yields unexpected results. That's not always a bad thing. In fact, that's how most new discoveries are made.
True, but most new discoveries don't bring the wrath of Zaitan down on their discoverers. Manipulating the Dead Eye may do precisely that.
We don't know what manipulating the Dead Eye will do. That's why we're not in Fort Trinity, and why the commander's with us. Let's begin.
The subject is nearly ready to receive the etheric infusion, Marshal. Etheric readings normal. Ready to begin testing.
Excellent. Activate the etheric infuser on my mark. 3, 2, 1, activate. All readings are within acceptable parameters. Subject is stable, it's working.
Confirmed. The projector beam is now ready for firing. Commander, if you'll do the honors.
So we can activate the control panel, and I double checked, and Scholar Vivian is a character you meet in the Char personal story in chapter 3 if you ever help out the Dermot Priory, and I can't remember if we ever did a story mission with the Priory, but that's when we would have met her before. But let's go ahead, interact with this control panel, and start the test.
The apparatus is functioning. How will we know when we have usable results?
We should see something any moment now. Look! There! There's our result!
It's working. We're seeing the last sights the eye saw before it died. Soldiers? Where are they marching to, and why?
Is that some kind of undead servant? What's it carrying? Looks like a scout of some kind. Filthy looking creature. Did you see that? Zaitan's agent just consumed a powerful magical artifact.
I saw it, Professor. Your theory is now a confirmed fact. But what was that creature?
Let's finish testing before we interpret our results.
Marshal Traherne! Look there, another eye. What does it mean?
I'm not sure. Commander, to the front. Something's not right.
This doesn't seem wise.
So a ton of risen grubs have just appeared, and there was like a second eye there, which is very interesting. And we saw a mouth of Zaitan consume a very powerful magical artifact.
What was that?
That roar and that other eye, it looked at us, through us. And Zaitan must see what it sees.
We're not done yet, nor are we out of danger. Commander, to me.
Marshal?
What's on your mind?
Marshal? Okay. Another eye, and by proxy, Zaitan itself. I can feel its presence. The dragon knows what we're doing and will send more of its minions to stop us. I can't see anything. Can you reveal them? Absolutely. I can feel the invisible invaders all around us. Stand ready. When my magic exposes them, they will most likely attack.
Now to strip away the veil that hides Zaitan's minions. Stand ready. There's no way to know how many we'll face, but we cannot risk taking any along with us.
There's a weird aura around us and a ton of risen wraiths. Go ahead, start dealing with them. Obliterate that one. We got a few here. Just instantly kill 2 and then 2 more. More of those things located over here. I see one just spawned up there. There are a couple underneath. Pretty easy to kill.
Stand fast.
But more are coming, so we need to be very, very careful here. of not getting overwhelmed. Trying to group this one up. I'm just gonna say this for like the 17th time in the last like 3 episodes, but I feel so powerful on this build. It feels very good. I definitely recommend this build if you're somebody who just casually enjoys some open world content on Necromancer.
I sense no more of the Risen. I think we're clear. Our findings deserve serious scrutiny, but I'd like to hear your initial reactions.
I think we now have conclusive proof that the dragon sees through these eyes. The readings, the ebb and flow of magical energy, it all fits.
If these eyes are how Zaitan sees, maybe that all-mouth creature is how Zaitan eats.
I concur. Zaitan's agents serve as extensions of its body, acting on its will. The eyes survey, the mouth consumes.
That answers many questions raised by my theory, actually. Now we know how the dragon hunts and eats. That's progress.
We can't let up. If killing the eye partially blinded Zaitan, then killing the mouth should deprive it of sustenance. Pack scouts have traced one of the mouths to its lair. I want you to head out there and ensure that Zaitan starts going hungry.
So that is an insane revelation where we have learned that Zaitan's minions are basically an extension of Zaitan himself. And we knew this like kind of concept of like the hive mind of the Risen, where once somebody becomes a Risen, basically their intelligence is consumed by Zaitan. So like if there's like any important secret bases or whatever that an agent of the Order Whispers knows about, and then they get turned into a Risen, then Zaitan knows about that as well. Where with these two creatures specifically, we see the Eye of Zaitan, who seems to be some sort of very advanced scout and is able to like, you know, observe like the different parts of Tyrion, specifically Or, on behalf of Zaitan, and Zaitan sees through the eyes. And then we have the Mouth of Zaitan, who is able to consume powerful magical artifacts for Zaitan, that Zaitan apparently uses the magic of for sustenance, meaning this dragon basically consumes and lives on magic. But now we have a story mission where we can go and try to deal with the Mouth of Zaitan, which let's talk with Traherne right here. And we've dealt with the eye, and now it's the mouth's turn. We've identified an Orion Manor that's receiving shipments of powerful magical items on a regular basis. It's called Kita Mance. Is that the only target? Yes, but there are 2 ways to attack it. We can strike it at the mouth in its lair, or we can prevent its food from being delivered. Either way, Zaitan misses a meal. Where we can either attack it directly or cut off the mouth's food supply. And I think kind of similar to the mission that we picked for this character, let's go ahead, cut off the supply, and then on our guardian character, we can attack the mouth directly. So let's go ahead, pick this, and we have the next story step that we can do, but I'm going to go ahead and look at that one and the other one, and then maybe even 2 additional ones after that, 2 episodes from now, because next episode I want to go ahead and actually begin exploring the next map in the game, Malkor's Leap. But before we do that, we have a tiny bit left in the Straits of Devastation, where we can see right there, 1 hero challenge, 2 points of interest, 1 waypoint, and it looks like 1 general area right over here. So let's mount up onto our raptor. It's kind of a dangerous waypoint just surrounded by undead, but I love all the fires and stuff. And we have these fires around the statue here. Let's go ahead, carry on this way. You see some char tanks that are shooting some of the undead here. And we have this building right here, which has a point of interest for us, with a champion, a Risen captain inside. Chapel of Lady Glaive, a very interesting location. Kind of gives me Baldur's Gate 3 vibes. But let's go ahead, get to this waypoint, and we can see the map entrance to the one, the only Malkor's Leap. A very, very cool area. And Den Al Jindi is the entrance that we will explore next episode. And of course, we'll take a little bit of a break from the story, but really quickly, let's come this way, because we can run over towards the last hero challenge in this map. We see a veteran Risen Spectral Guard up there, And we're going to have to climb up this way, which is actually dismount. And there's an Orient truffle over here, which is very fun. Go ahead, gather this. And then, how do we get up here? I'm trying to remember. Oh, is it over on that end, or is it this way actually? Maybe I came to the wrong side. Oh, it looks like we have to come in from this way. These three Risen were just really trying to like slow me down and attack me, and they're going to regret that. Let's go ahead and jump right up here. And then we can run along this, a rich mithril vein that we could mine if we wanted to. Let's go ahead and look right here where there's like a hole, so we need to be careful of not falling into there. And let's go ahead and attempt to take this armor. And this is really, really cool because it's just like a floating sword and shield, which is just incredible. Let's go ahead and try to deal as much damage as possible, and we can get one additional hero point for us, which is nice. There we go, and we can get our map completion chest, where we don't get too much. 40 silver is kind of nice. The Tyrian Explorer Society says, salutations. Reports of your endeavors throughout the Straits of Devastation have reached the Tyrian Explorer Society. Your willingness to venture through those perilous lands to aid the war against Zhaitan is notably impressive. You've shown great courage, and we commend you. We excitedly await details of your further exploits wherever your travels may take you. So that is very cool. And we have now fully completed the Straits of Devastation, 100% map completion. And last episode we did the too many dungeons and the jumping puzzle here, and now we have Malcor's Leap, which has a ton of stuff in it for us to explore and a ton of story for us to explore. So the next few episodes is definitely going to be in this map, and then we can go ahead and begin looking at the Cursed Shore afterwards, the final map in Vanilla Guild Wars 2. But let's return to the rally waypoint just to have a safe spot to log out at. And I'm going to go ahead and call this episode good here, where I hope you all enjoyed watching this episode. And as always, I hope you all are taking good care of yourselves. Remember, as always, to drink some water, check your posture, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time in the Road of Tyria. Goodbye.